Alright, people, things are really moving ahead with James Gunn's kickoff to the DCU Superman Legacy. We just got the official casting the other day. David Cornsweet will play Kal-El, Clark Kent, our Superman, and Rachel Brosnahan will be playing our Lois Lane, which I think both of those are perfect castings. I mean, David Cornsweet, he literally just looks like Superman. And plus, he's a bit more of an unknown act, which I think is always great because then, people that aren't familiar with him, they will look at him and only see him as Superman because that's really distracting sometimes. Obviously we've been talking about with the Fantastic Four, rumors of Adam Driver getting cast. Like, I'd look at that as, oh, it's Kylo Ren, not Reed Richards. So this you can only look at as Superman. Rachel Brosnahan, I think, is perfect as well. Obviously on The Marvelous Ms. Maisel, she's very sassy, kind of fast-talking woman, and that goes perfect for a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. So I really love those castings. And of course, this brings us to our next casting. We've been talking about Lex Luthor a little bit. We know Jimmy Olsen is going to be getting cast sometime soon as well, and the Authority is going to be in this film. But something today that just got revealed and something that we haven't really talked a whole lot about is the role of Jonathan Kent, aka Pa Kent. And there's a rumor now going around. The thing is, I don't know where it started or where it came from. It kind of just popped up and then I saw it like everywhere. Is that Brendan Fraser is in talks to play Jonathan Kent in Superman Legacy, which obviously is awesome. I mean, I love Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser is awesome. And specifically to see him as Jonathan Kent in this film would be awesome. I mean, he does kind of look like a middle-aged version of David Cornsweet, but of course, really, that doesn't even matter because he's his adoptive father. Brendan Fraser just, works as a dad. He just works specifically as Superman's dad. Because Superman's dad is such an integral character to this story. And something I think really interesting that I never really even thought about before now with this whole Jonathan Kent thing and Brendan Fraser is that he doesn't have to die. What we see in a lot of Superman media is the death of Jonathan Kent. And obviously that's a big thing that pushes Clark forward to becoming Superman and everything. That's a big motivator. But if you really think about it, obviously referencing some recent multiverse movies with The Flash, with the fixed points in time, or with Across the Spider-Verse canon events, the death of Jonathan Kent was never a canon event. You look at something like Superman the Animated Series, Jonathan Kent is very much well alive years into Clark being Superman. There's various pieces of media out there where John Kent is alive. And really, it's not something that has to happen. I mean, obviously, it happened in Man of Steel. It happened in Smallville is probably my best example of it. It was done really, really well there. But it's not something that has to happen because that was something I was kind of thinking about when I first read this rumor, it was like, oh man, that'd be awesome. But then again, at the same time, oh man, it'd just be a one and done appearance. We'd never see him again as Jonathan Kent. It'd probably just be a flashback since we know this is just an origin. This is not an origin movie. Or maybe it'd just be at the beginning of the film. But man, they could just keep Jonathan Kent alive and have him be there with Martha Kent. There's nothing saying that they have to die. And especially with this being when James Gunn first officially announced the title and the release date for Superman Legacy, he talked about how the movie comes out on his father's birthday and the relationship he really had with his father growing up, how his father, he never really he was never really super into comic books or superheroes or anything, but he saw that his son was, and he appreciated that. And so really this film is kind of dedicated to James Gunn's father. So I think having Superman's father in this movie is going to be probably a really integral part. And especially if you have an actor like Brendan Fraser, oh my God, what a guy. This is literally the perfect guy to play Superman's dad. The innocence, the charisma, just the pure joy and sense of hope that this guy brings is perfect for Jonathan Kent and perfect to be the guy that inspires Superman, to be this symbol of hope. I think that's awesome. And for Brendan Fraser specifically at this point in career, in his career. I mean, the man just won an Oscar. He's really making a comeback. He's got a good streak going once again, obviously after The Whale. He's got the Apple TV Plus movie coming later this year, something about like Killers of the Flower Moon, something like that. I think it's a Martin Scorsese film, but he's in that. He's got a couple other projects coming up as well, but I think this would be great specifically for him to come back to the DC world, because he's really been done dirty by DC. I mean, obviously, Batgirl got completely scrapped and canceled after the movie was already done. He was supposed to play the main villain of that film, Firefly, and everything we were seeing from that movie looked great. He's talked about how that movie would have been awesome, but unfortunately, we're never going to get to see that. So this would be a nice kind of apology for that, of like, oh, you know, your Batgirl movie didn't get to come out. Well, now you can get to be in the new DCU in the Superman movie. That would be pretty cool. And also, of course, Doom Patrol. Man, he is amazing in Doom Patrol. I love this Doom Patrol series so much. I'm really excited. I'm kind of wondering like why we still have no idea when the final part of the series comes out, but I'm really excited for it whenever it does. Brendan Fraser's performance is one of the best parts of this series, and you can tell he's passionate about the characters and the show and the story and everything. So with that being another thing that was recently, I mean, the show is coming to a natural end. You know, that's how the writers wrote and everything. But basically, you know, like everything else, it was canceled by DC. So now maybe if this rumor ends up being true, he could get to continue in the DC universe as Jonathan Kent. And even more fun fact, which would make things even more full circle here, is that Brendan Fraser almost actually played Superman himself years ago, when J.J. Abrams was developing his Superman flyby film, which of course, obviously that film never even ended up happening. Brendan Fraser was in like he was very, very close to getting that role. Like he was in the front running for the role of Clark Kent Superman. So it's kind of crazy that, okay, he didn't get to be a villain in Batgirl. His time on Doom Patrol got cut short. He didn't get to play Superman, but now he can play the father of Superman. This would be so freaking awesome, and I love this idea. Like, it's not something I would have at all thought of. Like, I wouldn't have, like, in fan casting Jonathan Kent, like, Brendan Fraser wouldn't have been somebody that automatically came to mind, but it works. It works so well. I love it. And I really hope that this ends up being true. Again, I don't even know where this rumor came from. I just saw it pop up on Twitter. Coy Jandra was talking about it. And then I looked it up and saw a whole bunch of other people talking about it. Again, I don't know the original source. I don't know the validity or the accuracy of this. But I sure hope there's some validity to this, because this sounds just awesome. I'm really excited about this. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this idea of Brendan Fraser playing Jonathan Kent in Superman Legacy? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.